Okay, so you can see from this photo that the curtain wall on the lower level does something funny in that area between these columns, and then you've got the even more unusual part at the end where you've got all that lattice work and it all looks a bit flimsy, which I'm going to leave for now. So what I want to show you initially is that you can work with curtain walls in the same way as you do regular walls. And so by that I mean you can select them and go to the modify panel that way, or you could even just click on the modify tab, and I want the split tool. So using split element, I'm going to pick somewhere on the edge of this wall. And what that'll do then is give me a break in my walls so that I can then drag one end away, and see it puts the mullions in, so that's not a bad thing. And so again, looking at the photo and just trying to follow this as closely as possible, it's all a bit unusual, but again here I can do another split at the next column, and again drag the end of this away, and I'm just going to try using a line. Yeah, that should work pretty well. With a line I can line up with the grid line, then try stretching this to get it fairly close to the column, and that will give me a pretty reasonable join. And so then I'll do the same with the next one. Even though you can see it probably slopes or goes at an angle there, I'm going to ignore that and just do it in line with the column. So again, just selecting that, I'll again bring the end of the wall up a little bit, use a line, bring it across, and then bring it down. So that looks fairly clean. And going to the next one, same thing. Okay, and so then to get the number of panels that you need, looking at the photo there, you can see we should have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divisions basically between those two columns. And so looking at what I have, if I select that, well, I'll just measure one of them, and you can see then how big each panel is. So it's basically around 1400 mil, and we know that we've got 4 panels there, which is not enough. So I'm going to select that wall, edit type, and I'm going to duplicate this because I don't want them all to change. I just want this wall to change now. So I'm going to use duplicate, and I'm going to call it storefront divisions. Okay, and then I'm just going to change the vertical grid layout option to fixed number. And so with fixed number, you can't give a distance, and that's just what I want. So I'm going to click OK. And what you'll see then in properties is the vertical grid will come up with a number, and you can put in the number you want. So it's not the number of spacings, it's the number of grids. So I've got 3 grids there, and I want 2 more, so I'm going to take that up to 5, and that will give me 6 panels. And I'll measure those now. They look a bit small, but that must be what it is, 800. Yeah, and I think I've got my columns wrong there, so I think there must be a column back here. I'm going to look from the inside. I think I might have the number of panels wrong there, but it's a really difficult thing to see in these photos. So let's look at the inside. Oh no, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it is about that. They do look pretty small there. So I think that might be right. If it's wrong, it's obviously easy to change just by changing that number. And so you can work that way with each panel segment. So going to the next one, you'll see that here it just needs the 2 panels. So now I can select my wall. It's already got 2, so you don't really need to change this one. But just so you can see the process, I can go again to change it to storefront divisions. And then looking down in the properties now, you can see the number, and 1 is what it should be to get 2 panels, because you have 1 grid line dividing it up. And then I'll definitely do the next one where you have the door. So there's an extra step there. Okay, so you can see you've got this door inside that curtain wall segment, which is basically divided up into 4. Okay, so we've got the 4 in this one, the 4 panels, but they're spaced at the moment evenly. And I suppose you could leave it even, but really it should be made with the 2 outside panels even, and then the inner area. Well, actually, so we want 3 there anyway, so that should be wider. So that's the first thing I'll do. So I'm going to change this to, change this to my new storefront divisions. Set the number to 2, which will give me 3 panels. And I'm going to make then a new curtain wall type. So using edit type, duplicate, and we'll call this storefront divisions transom. And then I'm going to put in a horizontal grid layout using fixed distance. And let's look at that door. It looks about 2400 high actually, so if it's not, we can always change that. It may be 2100, but it probably is about 2400. So that's a good distance. And it's got all the mullions set up the way I want them. Okay, so it's put my transom back in. Now I'm going to go back to ground floor and try to select a grid line. And you'll see it's pinned, so I'll unpin it. The other one, same thing, unpin. And that means I can then set my distance by just choosing that dimension, and I'll make it a round number, a metre, I'll make it. Let's try that again, metre, or maybe that's not quite enough, 1200 might be better. Okay, so that leaves me a panel in the middle that's, well, it's about 2.8 metres wide, which is probably pretty close to the width we want. Maybe too much actually, so I'll just keep adjusting those grid lines, so maybe I'll make this 1400. There we go. And now back into my 3D view. I've got that opening for the door, and I'll now use tab to select the mullion at the bottom, unpin it and delete it, and now I can use tab to highlight the panel that's left. And this is the tricky part. Go to edit type, then load, and go into curtain wall panels, and you'll find some doors that are very close to those doors that we need. So these here, the door double glass framed is very similar, or actually even better, the curtain wall storefront double will be perfect. So there we go, OK and OK, and there we are, it's got a door then inserted into the curtain wall. So maybe I'll just show you again the corner mullions. So going to these corner mullions here, or the mullions that are on the corner, but they're not corner mullions. I'm going to delete 2 of them. First unpin, and then delete. And now I can select the 2 that are remaining, unpin them, and this time I'll change them to the trapezoid mullion, not the quad mullion. Okay, so that's the mullion type that I want, but you can see there it's a bit too big. So I'm going to go to Edit Type, Duplicate, and I'm going to call it Trapezoid Mullion Small. And I'll change the centre width to just 50. It's a bit too small, so it doesn't like that. Let's change that to again. Try it again. So let's try 100. There we go. It's already there. Choose it. And so 100 might be better. Sometimes a bit of trial and error. There we go. So that's a pretty good size for those mullions, and I can now use that for most of the corner mullions where things are at an angle. So these as well. But that should give you the basic method there. So I'll finish that one up.